Psychology says never reply to a knock if you don't know who is on the other side. Clara learned this the hard way.
This story was submitted by a young woman named Clara, a 24-year-old photographer who had just moved into an old apartment building in Portland. It was one of those classic buildings with high ceilings, creaking wood floors, and walls that felt a little too thick. She thought she'd found her dream home, a quiet place to start her career. But, as Clara soon learned, silence in an old building is rarely empty. Sometimes it's just a mask for something waiting to be heard. Clara lived on the 3rd floor in Unit 3C. Directly below her, in apartment 2B, lived an elderly woman she'd only seen a few times. The woman always wore a heavy charcoal gray coat, even when the heat outside was stifling. She never spoke, never made eye contact, and always seemed to be hurrying away. Clara didn't think much of it until her 3rd night in the building. It started at exactly 3 a.m., a soft, rhythmic tapping coming from directly under her bedroom floorboards. At first, Clara tried to rationalize it. Old pipes, maybe, or the building settling. But the tapping was too deliberate. It followed her. If she moved her chair to the window, the tapping moved to the floor beneath the window. One night, out of pure frustration and a bit of a joke, Clara tapped back 3 times. The silence that followed was absolute. The air in her room felt like it dropped 10 degrees. She didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, Clara found a small yellowed piece of paper slid under her door. There was no envelope, just a torn scrap with shaky, thin handwriting that read, "Please don't tap back. It startles her." Clara felt a cold shiver crawl up her spine. Who was her? Was the old lady living with someone else? The building manager had told her only one person was registered in 2B. As the days went by, the tapping was replaced by something far more disturbing. Whispers. Every night around 3:15 a.m., a low rhythmic chanting began echoing through the air vents. It sounded like the old woman was having a conversation with someone who only replied in wet, raspy breaths. Clara began to feel like she was being watched, not from the street, but from within her own walls. Then things started to go missing. A silver hairbrush, a photo of her parents, and finally, her grandmother's antique locket. That was the breaking point. Clara went down to the 2nd floor, her heart hammering against her ribs. She knocked on door 2B, prepared to demand her things back. No answer. She knocked again, harder. This time, the door creaked open just an inch. It wasn't locked. The smell hit her first, the scent of wet earth and ancient rotting flowers. She pushed the door open and stepped into the dim hallway. The apartment was freezing. In the center of the living room, the old lady was sitting in a high-backed rocking chair facing the window. She was cradling a bundle wrapped in a dirty lace shawl, rocking back and forth with a violent intensity. As Clara stepped closer, her breath hitched. Draped over the lace shawl was her missing silver locket. The old woman began to hum, a distorted, high-pitched version of a lullaby. She slowly turned her head 180 degrees to look at Clara. Her eyes were milky white, devoid of pupils, and she whispered, "She likes your jewelry, Clara. She says it tastes like your fear."
Clara didn't scream. Her voice was trapped in her throat. She backed away, her eyes locked on the rocking chair, and then she turned and bolted. She ran up the stairs, grabbed her car keys, and flew out of the building. She didn't even look back at her own window. She drove until she reached a bright 24-hour gas station and called the police, her hands shaking so much she dropped the phone twice. When the police arrived at apartment 2B, they found the door locked from the inside. When they forced it open, they found nothing. The apartment was completely stripped. No furniture, no rocking chair, just a thick layer of dust that hadn't been disturbed in years. The utilities had been disconnected since 2012. The building manager was baffled, insisting that apartment 2B had been vacant for over a decade because of a structural issue they couldn't fix. Clara never went back for her furniture. She moved across the state the following week. But on her first night in her new house, as she was unpacking, she found a small box on her kitchen counter. It wasn't hers. Inside was her silver locket and a small hand-drawn map of her new bedroom. Be careful who you share your walls with, because sometimes the person living below you isn't living at all. Stay safe and never tap back.